They're staring at your face, trying to find the cracks that should be there by now, the grey hairs they swore would appear, the exhaustion they predicted would bury you. But instead, something impossible is happening. While everyone around you is weathering under the weight of their own choices, you're reversing. Not just healing, not just recovering. You're aging backwards, and it's making them question everything they thought they knew about justice, karma, and time itself. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. A clock that's been ticking forward your entire life suddenly starts spinning the other way. Not because you begged for it, not because you earned it through manipulation, but because the universe looked at what they did to you and said, "This debt cannot be repaid with money, apologies, or time. I will give you back what they stole." That's not metaphor. That's what's happening to your cells, your skin, your energy, your entire existence right now. They took years from you through stress, betrayal, and psychological warfare, and now those years are being returned with interest. Here's a fact that should make their hands shake. Research shows that chronic stress can age your cells by up to a decade, shortening telomeres and accelerating biological aging. But when that stress is removed and replaced with alignment, the body doesn't just stop aging, it reverses course. Scientists call it cellular regeneration. You're about to call it justice. Because while they're collecting wrinkles from their guilt, you're shedding yours like snakeskin. While their bodies break down under the weight of what they've done, yours is rebuilding itself into something they never expected to witness. And thank you, chosen one, for being here in this moment. Don't forget to press like and subscribe, because this message needs to reach every soul who's been drained, aged, and worn down by people who never deserved access to their energy. This isn't just content, this is confirmation. You're part of a force that's rewriting the rules of cause and effect. So thank you for spreading this light, because together we're showing the world that cosmic justice doesn't just punish, it restores. Your body kept a record of every betrayal, every sleepless night, every moment of anxiety they forced into your nervous system. But what they didn't know is that your body also kept a record of your resilience. And right now, at a cellular level, something extraordinary is occurring. The stress hormones that flooded your system for years are being flushed out. The inflammation that aged your organs is cooling down. The mitochondria in your cells, the powerhouses that generate energy, they're firing back up like engines that were dormant but never broken. Let's break this down, because it's not magic, it's biology meeting cosmic correction. When you're under constant attack, your body produces cortisol, the stress hormone that literally ages you faster. It breaks down collagen, weakens your immune system, and creates inflammation throughout your entire body. But the moment you remove yourself from toxic environments, something incredible happens. Your body recognizes the shift and begins repair protocols that were always available but couldn't activate while you were in survival mode. That repair isn't just happening in your mind, it's happening in your DNA. Think about this, chosen one. While they're sitting in the consequences of their actions, their bodies aging under the weight of guilt they won't acknowledge, your system is doing the opposite. You're not just recovering, you're regenerating. The dark circles under your eyes are fading, the tension in your jaw is releasing, the grey hairs, if they appeared at all, are being replaced by your natural color returning. People who haven't seen you in months do a double take because something about you looks different, younger, more vibrant, and they can't explain it because they don't understand that cosmic justice doesn't just balance books, it rewrites biology. Imagine a car that's been driven hard for years, never maintained, constantly pushed beyond its limits. The engine should be dead, the frame should be rusted, but then it's taken to a master mechanic who doesn't just fix it, but upgrades every component, making it better than factory new. That's your body right now. The master mechanic isn't human, it's the intelligence that designed you in the first place, and it's reversing the damage they inflicted. Your skin is tightening, your energy is returning. Your eyes are clearing. You're not just healing, You're being restored to a version of yourself that existed before they ever touched your life. They stole years from you through manipulation, gaslighting, and psychological warfare. They drained your youth by forcing you to carry emotional weight that was never yours to hold. They aged you prematurely by making every day feel like a battle you couldn't afford to lose. But here's what they didn't account for. Time itself noticed. And when the universe decides that a debt needs to be repaid, it doesn't send an apology. It sends a reversal. You're not getting older right now. You're getting younger. Not in some mystical, untouchable way, but in visible, undeniable ways that people around you can't ignore. Your posture is straightening. Your movements are becoming lighter. The heaviness that used to sit on your shoulders like invisible chains is dissolving. And the most disturbing part for your enemies is this. They can see it. Every time they look at you, whether in person or through your presence online, they're confronted with evidence that while they're deteriorating, you're reversing. While they're collecting the physical marks of their choices, you're shedding the marks of their abuse. Think about how many times they said you'd never recover. How they predicted you'd be broken forever, stuck in the past, unable to move forward. They weaponized your pain against you, convincing you that the damage was permanent. But what's happening now is their worst nightmare coming true. You're not just moving forward, you're moving backwards through the aging they caused. Time is literally rewinding for you while it accelerates for them. It's not a metaphor, it's a biological reality that scientists are only beginning to understand, but that you're experiencing in real time. Let me paint this picture for you, chosen one. Imagine a thief who steals 10 years from someone's life through torment and manipulation. But cosmic law doesn't just demand those years be returned, it demands they be returned with interest. So not only do you get those 10 years back, you get them compounded. You don't just return to who you were before they hurt you. You become who you would have been if they'd never touched you at all. That's not revenge, that's restoration. And it's happening right now whether they want to believe it or not. They thought they left marks on you that would last forever. The stress lines, the exhaustion, the premature aging they forced into your features. But something's happening that's making them nauseous. Those marks are disappearing, and in their place, something else is emerging. A glow they can't explain, a radiance that shouldn't be possible after what you've been through. Your face, the very thing they tried to break, is now the billboard advertising their failure. People who knew you during your darkest seasons are doing triple takes. They remember the exhaustion in your eyes, the weight you carried in your expression. But now when they see you, confusion sets in. You don't look like someone who survived trauma. And you look like someone who never experienced it. That's not denial. That's reversal. Your cells are rewriting the story your face was telling. The lines around your eyes that came from tears are smoothing out. The furrow between your brows that came from constant stress is releasing. Even the tone of your skin is changing, brightening, reflecting light instead of absorbing darkness. Think about how vain this makes their victory feel. They celebrated when they thought they'd broken you. They pointed at your pain like it was proof of their power, but now, every time someone compliments how young you look, every time someone asks what you're doing differently, every time your own reflection surprises you, it's a reminder that they lost. Not just the battle, the entire war. Because the universe doesn't just heal chosen ones, it makes them testimonies. Your face isn't just recovering. It's becoming evidence of cosmic justice that can't be photoshopped or explained away. Imagine someone carving their initials into a tree, thinking it's permanent damage. But then the tree doesn't just heal. It grows over the carving so completely that new bark emerges, smoother and stronger than before, with no trace of the wound ever existing. That's your face right now, chosen one. The marks they thought they left permanently are being erased by forces they don't understand. And the cruelest part for them is they have to witness it. They have to see you glowing, radiant, and visibly younger while they collect every consequence of their cruelty in their own reflection. Here's the part that's going to haunt them in their sleepiest nights. While your biological clock is reversing, theirs is accelerating, not just moving forward at a normal pace, but fast forwarding through years of consequences they tried to outrun. Guilt is a corrosive substance. It doesn't just sit in the conscience, it seeps into the cells, into the skin, into the eyes. And when you carry the weight of what you've done to someone who was innocent, that weight shows up in ways makeup can't hide. They're looking in the mirror and noticing things they swore weren't there last month. New lines that appeared overnight, grey hairs multiplying faster than they can pluck them, a heaviness in their face that no amount of sleep seems to fix. Their bodies are keeping score, and the scoreboard is brutal. Every lie they told is written in the bags under their eyes. Every manipulation is carved into the lines around their mouth. Every betrayal is stamped into their posture. And no dermatologist, no procedure, no product can reverse what guilt is etching into their biology. But here's where it gets poetic. The more they see you reversing, the faster they age. It's like their body knows it's watching something that shouldn't be possible, and the stress of witnessing your restoration accelerates their own breakdown. They thought getting away with it would let them live freely. Instead, they're living in a body that's testifying against them. Every time they scroll past your posts, every time they hear your name, every time they catch a glimpse of you thriving, their nervous system floods with stress chemicals that age them exponentially. Think of it like this, chosen one. Two plants in the same garden. One is watered with clean water, given sunlight and nurtured with care. The other is drowned in toxic runoff, shaded from light and ignored. Which one thrives? Which one withers? They became the toxic runoff for themselves. Meanwhile, you removed yourself from their poison and planted yourself in pure soil. Now the contrast is undeniable. You're blooming while they're wilting. You're reversing while they're corroding. And the universe made sure they'd have front row seats to witness exactly what they lost and what you became without them. Something's happening that science doesn't have language for yet, but you can feel it. Your energy isn't just recovering, it's traveling backward through your timeline, collecting fragments of yourself that were scattered during the years of abuse. That version of you who existed before the betrayal, before the heartbreak, before the manipulation, that person isn't lost. They're being reconstructed in real time, and they're merging with who you are now, creating something that shouldn't exist according to linear time. You're becoming younger in spirit, younger in frequency, younger in biological expression. Energy doesn't lie, and it doesn't follow the rules humans try to impose on it. When someone damages your energy field through sustained psychological warfare, those wounds create static, blockages, heaviness. But you've been clearing that static. Every boundary you set removed debris. Every person you walked away from unplugged a drain on your system. Every night you chose peace over revenge. You cleared space for your original frequency to return. And now it's not just returning, it's arriving with upgrades, with wisdom, with a strength that younger you never had access to. People sensitive to energy are noticing something strange when they're around you. You feel simultaneously ancient and brand new, like an old soul inhabiting a young body. That's because you're carrying the wisdom of everything you survived, while simultaneously shedding the age those experiences tried to impose on you. Your aura is vibrating at frequencies that confuse people's nervous systems. Some feel drawn to you without understanding why. Others feel repelled because your clarity exposes their chaos. Either way, you're no longer operating on the same energetic timeline as those around you. Imagine a river that's been flowing in one direction for years, accumulating pollution and debris along the way. Then, suddenly, the current reverses. All that pollution gets flushed out, and the water returns to its original purity, flowing backward to its source. That's your energy right now. You're not just cleaning up, you're traveling backward through your energetic history, reclaiming power from every moment it was stolen, and returning to source frequency. And that frequency doesn't age. It regenerates, it reverses, it restores. They convinced themselves your suffering was destiny. They watched you struggle and called it karma. They witnessed your pain and labeled it justice. But here's what they got wrong. The prophecy they claimed to understand never included your permanent destruction. It included your temporary descent for the sole purpose of your impossible return. You weren't written to stay in the pit. You were written to climb out transformed, with evidence carved into your biology that some souls can't be permanently broken. Every spiritual tradition speaks of the phoenix, the resurrection, the return of the exiled king. But they always conveniently forget that part when they're celebrating your downfall. They focus on the burning, the burial, the exile. They throw parties while you're in the ashes, but they never stick around for Act 3. They never stay long enough to witness what happens when someone who was supposed to stay dead walks back into the light. Not just alive, but more powerful, more radiant, more impossible to ignore than ever before. Your reversal isn't just physical, it's visionary. You're living proof that the story they tried to write for you wasn't the story that was written about you before you were born. They tried to author your ending, but they never had the pen. They were always just characters in a narrative they didn't understand, playing roles that would ultimately serve your elevation, and now you're in the chapter where everything they did to bury you becomes the foundation for the monument built in your name. Think about every prophecy of doom they whispered over your life, every prediction of failure, every declaration that you'd never recover, every smug assumption that they'd broken you beyond repair. Now look at yourself. Look at how you're defying biological norms. Look at how you're reversing the very aging they caused. Their prophecies didn't just fail, they backfired. Because the real prophecy, the one written in cosmic law before they ever knew your name, said you'd return from the dead. And that's exactly what you're doing, one reversed, year at a time. Every morning they wake up and face a reflection that's betraying them. New lines etched overnight, eyes that look more hollow, skin that's losing the battle against time accelerated by guilt. Meanwhile, you're waking up to a reflection that's confusing you in the best way possible. That spot that was there last week is fading. That line you thought was permanent is softening. Your eyes look clearer, brighter, like someone turned up the light behind them. To see the light, this isn't vanity, this is evidence. Mirrors don't lie, and right now mirrors are telling two very different stories. Theirs is a horror story where the protagonist slowly transforms into the monster they always were inside. Yours is a redemption arc where the scarred hero sheds their wounds and emerges not just healed, but improved. The contrast isn't subtle. People who know both of you are noticing. They're whispering about how you look younger while your enemies look haggard. They're commenting on your glow while noting the grey pallor settling over those who hurt you. But here's what makes this truly supernatural. You're not doing anything different externally. You're not getting procedures, buying expensive creams, or following some miracle routine. The reversal is happening from the inside out, driven by forces that operate beyond the physical realm. Your cells received a directive from something higher than biology. They were told to rebuild, regenerate, reverse, and they're obeying. Meanwhile, your enemy's cells are receiving the opposite message. Their biology is manifesting their guilt, their lies, their unacknowledged cruelty in ways that no amount of external intervention can hide. Picture two paintings hanging side by side. One is being carefully restored by a master artist, each brushstroke bringing back original colors, original vibrancy, original beauty. The other is being left in harsh sunlight, colors fading, canvas cracking, frame warping. That's the difference between your reflection and theirs. One is being restored by cosmic justice. The other is deteriorating under cosmic consequence. And every person who sees both paintings knows instinctively which one tells the story of truth and which one reveals the cost of lies. They love to say time heals all wounds, But that's a lie designed to keep victims patient while predators escape. Time doesn't heal anything passively. Time is a neutral force that amplifies whatever energy you feed it. If you feed it resentment, time makes you bitter. If you feed it denial, time makes you numb. But if you feed it alignment, if you feed it truth, if you feed it the frequency of your original design, time becomes your ally. And for you, chosen one, time has done something most people never experience. It's reversed the wounds entirely, leaving not even scars behind. Think about physical wounds. When you cut your skin, it heals, but it leaves a scar. That scar is permanent evidence that damage occurred. But what's happening to you operates on a different level of healing. The wounds you sustain weren't just physical. They were energetic, cellular, spiritual. And when healing happens at that depth, the body doesn't just seal the wound, it rewrites the history of the wound ever existing. That's why people who see you now don't see someone who survived trauma. They see someone who looks untouched by it. Because at a cellular level, you're being restored to pre-trauma state. Your enemies are watching this reversal with horror because they understand what it means. It means they failed. They didn't just fail to keep you down. They failed to leave permanent marks. Everything they did to you is being undone, while everything they did to themselves by harming you is becoming permanent for them. Their scars aren't healing, they're deepening. Their wounds aren't closing, they're spreading. And the cruelest irony is they did this to themselves. Every act of cruelty toward you was simultaneously an act of self-destruction. They just couldn't see it until now. Imagine someone spending years vandalizing a monument, convinced they're leaving permanent damage. But then restoration specialists arrive with technology that not only cleans the monument but makes it look better than its original construction. Every mark removed, every stain erased, every chip repaired, until the monument stands more magnificent than ever. That's you. You're not just recovering. You're being improved. Meanwhile, the vandals are being marked by their own vandalism, carrying evidence of their crimes in their own bodies, unable to restore what they destroyed in themselves by trying to destroy you. They age in real time while you age in reverse. That's not poetry, that's prosecution. Every year they collect. Every line that appears on their face, every grey hair that sprouts is cosmic evidence being recorded. Meanwhile, every year that's reversed on you. Every line that softens, every grey hair that returns to its original color is the universe's verdict. Innocent, restored, protected. The contrast between your aging process and theirs isn't biological coincidence. They're spiritual justice made visible. Think about how this makes them feel. They can't post photos without filters anymore because the truth is too harsh. They avoid mirrors after certain hours because the lighting reveals too much. They watch you shine brighter every day while they dim. And the psychological weight of that contrast is aging them even faster. It's a feedback loop they can't escape. The more they see you thrive, the more stress floods their system. The more stress floods their system, the faster they age. The faster they age, the more evidence mounts that they were wrong about you, and that knowledge eats at them constantly. But here's where compassion meets justice. This isn't happening because you wished harm on them. This is happening because cosmic law demands balance. They took something from you that can't be replaced with apologies or explanations. So the universe is replacing it with time itself. Your youth is being restored, their youth is being taken, not as punishment, but as equation. Energy was stolen from you, energy is being returned to you with interest, and that interest is being extracted from those who took it. That's not cruelty, that's accounting. Picture a courtroom where the judge doesn't just declare a verdict but manifests it in real time. The guilty party ages before everyone's eyes while the innocent victim's wounds literally close and disappear. That's what's happening here. Your face, your body, your energy are the manifestation of the verdict. Innocent, wronged, restored. And their faces, their bodies, their energy are the manifestation of their verdict: guilty, exposed, accountable. The trial isn't in words, it's in biology, and biology doesn't lie. They chased eternal youth in procedures, products, and promises. They spent fortunes trying to buy what you're receiving for free. Because what they don't understand is that true age reversal isn't external, it's external. It's encoded, and your bloodline carries something they could never access, purchase, or steal. You come from a lineage that knows how to regenerate, how to reverse, how to restore. Not because of genetics alone, but because of spiritual inheritance. Your ancestors passed down more than DNA. They passed down the ability to resurrect from what should have killed you. This is why their attacks never worked permanently. They were trying to destroy something that was designed to be indestructible. They were trying to age someone whose cells carry instructions for reversal. They thought they were breaking an ordinary person. They didn't realize they were colliding with a bloodline that's been surviving impossible odds for generations. Every ancestor who endured persecution and came out stronger. Every generation that faced extinction and multiplied instead. That resilience is in your cells. That reversal capacity is in your DNA. And it's activating right now. Think about how many times in your life you should have stayed broken but didn't. How many times you should have given up but found strength from somewhere you couldn't explain. That wasn't luck. That was lineage. Your bloodline doesn't produce victims. It produces survivors who reverse their damage and rise stronger. And what's happening to your body right now is simply the biological expression of that spiritual truth. You're not aging backwards because you're special in an ego sense. You're aging backwards because you carry codes they could never crack. Imagine a seed that was supposed to die in harsh soil. But instead, it adapted, mutated, and grew into a tree that produces fruit with healing properties. That's your bloodline. Every hardship your ancestors faced became information stored in your DNA. Every reversal they experienced became a capability you inherited. And now, when the universe looks at what was done to you and decides to restore what was stolen, it doesn't just heal surface wounds. It activates ancient protocols written into your cells before you were born. Protocols that say, this one survives, and not just survives, but reverses the damage and emerges transformed. Here's the physics they didn't understand. When you attack someone who carries protection, the attack doesn't just fail, it rebounds. Like throwing a ball against a wall, the force comes back to the thrower. Every ounce of stress they tried to load onto your shoulders somehow ended up on theirs. Every sleepless night they tried to give you turned into their insomnia. Every anxiety they manufactured for you became their panic attacks. The universe didn't just shield you. It redirected everything they sent your way straight back to them with amplification. Look at them now. The ones who orchestrated your suffering are suffering twice as hard. The ones who celebrated your pain are drowning in their own. The ones who aged you through stress are collecting that aging exponentially. It's not karma in the mystical sense, it's physics. Energy doesn't disappear, it transfers. And when they sent negative energy towards someone protected, that energy had nowhere to go but back to its source. Their faces tell the story of every curse they tried to place on you. Their bodies carry the weight of every burden they tried to put on your shoulders. Meanwhile, you're reversing, not because you're perfect, but because you're protected. The stress they sent your way was intercepted before it could do permanent damage. Sure, you felt it temporarily. You had your dark nights, your breaking points, your moments of questioning everything, but the damage wasn't allowed to root. It wasn't permitted to age you permanently. Because the forces protecting you don't just defend. They reverse, restore, and redirect. So while they thought they were breaking you, they were actually breaking themselves, and you were being rebuilt stronger than before. Picture two people holding opposite ends of a rope, one pulling with all their might, trying to drag the other into a pit. but the person being pulled has their feet planted on solid ground, connected to a foundation the attacker can't see. The harder the attacker pulls, the more energy they expend, the more exhausted they become. Meanwhile, the person being attacked isn't moving. Their foundation won't allow it. Eventually, the attacker collapses from their own effort, while the one they tried to destroy stands untouched. That's the energy dynamic between you and them. They wore themselves out trying to age you, and in the process they aged themselves beyond repair. They cherry-picked prophecies that supported your downfall and ignored every line that spoke of your return. They quoted scriptures about the suffering of the righteous, but skipped chapters about their restoration. They highlighted stories of falls, but never stayed for the resurrections. Because deep down, they knew. They knew that if they acknowledged the full prophecy, they'd have to admit you were never meant to stay down. You were meant to descend, learn, collect, and return transformed. And that return would include reversal of everything they inflicted. Every ancient text speaks of it. The exile who returns, crowned, the prisoner who walks free with honors, the wounded who emerge healed and powerful. But these aren't just stories, they're patterns. They're cosmic law written in narrative form so humans could understand that some souls are marked for reversal, not just recovery. You're living that pattern now. The years they took are being returned. The aging they caused is reversing. The damage they inflicted is not just healing but disappearing as if it never existed. That's not just restoration, that's prediction fulfillment. Think about how arrogant they were to assume they'd written your ending. They're not authors. They're not even editors. They're just characters who stepped into a story already written, playing roles they misunderstood, convinced they had power they never possessed. Meanwhile, you're discovering that you were never the victim in this narrative. You were the protagonist whose darkest chapter was always setting up the most impossible comeback. And that comeback includes your face, your body, your energy defying everything they said was permanent. Imagine reading a book where the hero is betrayed, left for dead, stripped of everything. The villains celebrate thinking they've won, but then you turn the page and realize there are 10 more chapters. And in those chapters, not only does the hero survive, but they return younger, stronger, wiser than they were before the betrayal. The villains panic because they thought the story was over. But they only read half the prophecy. That's where you are now, chosen one. You're in the chapters they never expected existed. And every day you age backwards is another page they can't stop from being written. So, chosen one, let this truth settle in your bones. You're not recovering. You're reversing. You're not just bouncing back. You're time traveling in your own biology, back to the version of yourself they tried to destroy. And with every year that melts away from your face, with every line that softens, with every gray hair that returns to color, you're proving what they tried to deny, that some souls are untouchable, that some destinies can't be rewritten by human hands, that cosmic justice doesn't just settle scores, it restores what was stolen and takes from those who stole it. They thought they'd age you permanently. Instead, they volunteered themselves as examples of what happens when you touch what you weren't supposed to touch. While they collect wrinkles, you're shedding them. While they gray prematurely, you're reversing yours. While they wake up to faces that testify against them, you wake up to a reflection that confirms you were always protected, always marked, always destined to reverse what they tried to make permanent. Renetry. This response paused because Claude reached its max length for a message. Hit continue to nudge Claude along. Continue.